All right, are we all here? I don't remember if Thomas
Maybe
is joining today.
I think it should.
Okay.
I just shared the link in consensus.
Awesome. Shall we start then?
Yeah, that's it.
Martin, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm continuing with the roadmap. We had some interesting discussions yesterday. We're focusing more on like the areas so that we can create different teams that focus on a specific area. So yeah, currently working on that. Yeah, well, once I have a better idea, I'm gonna share it with the team to see like what do you think. So yeah, that's what I'm working on.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think that we're going to be publishing that very soon. So that's awesome that you're doing that. It will be in the repo as soon as we have it ready. Do you have anything else? Or if not, we can continue with Paul.
Okay, then I guess I can go. Hey, Thomas. Um, so I've been mostly working on continuing to read and understand more about the consensus layer. And I've been reading more about like different clients to be able to understand how do they process blocks. Uh, so I understand that they receive the blocks in a certain manner through the LippyTP gossip, but after, like, how do they process these blocks according to the specifications? So on block and after, like, process, like we've talked about yesterday. So process, execution, payload, and stuff like that to see how I'm potentially gonna implement these things towards um, the first roadmap milestone that we had, um, and yeah, that's about it. Continuing to research on that side, and after I've also talked with Martin and about snappy compression and decompression and SSD serialization and deserialization, where he thinks, and I think it's totally right, that when we start using a certain type, we need to implement serialization and deserialization for it. For example, on the block, I need to receive a beacon state, and need to receive an execution payload. No, um, uh, beacon block. So these two things, because I'm going to need to use them to be able to test them and make sure that they work, I will also need to implement serialization and things on them. But to be able to implement serialization on these big containers like a block, we first need to implement serialization on the primitive types. So slowly, I'm gonna work towards that to be able to implement these methods and then also implement the tests for them, which also encompasses the serialization and deserialization that's needed to run the tests. So that's all.
That sounds awesome. That's a great prioritization. Or the only thing that I will say is that make sure, if you haven't already, to talk with Thomas Gruner, as he's also working in serialization and deserialization. And the only thing that I would want to avoid is that both of you working on exactly the same structures at the same time. So, I think that it's good that, Paul, you're prioritizing anything that has to do with blocks in order to be able to send them to the execution payload. So, Tomas, if you're already working on something like that, I don't know which are the data structures that you're working on at this moment.
You
Um,
mean JSON serialization, deserialization,
Wait,
or
Jason,
SSIT?
as I said, right, Paul, or
SSIT?
are you talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard about JSON's realization, deserialization in the case of our client. So no, I was talking about SSD.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna stop a bit with that, but I already sent the update in APR with all the types I've implemented until now. They are like 8. With each one I added, I encounter some problems and try to solve them, changing a bit of the rest of the macros and all the things I added to reduce boilerplate. Uh, I I found one type that uses an aggregate signature that I have some trouble like serializing it or undeserializing it. It seems like some um problem with the configuration we use for the library or something like that. So you might find that that problem. I have a test. I'll later upload that to the repo. I'll send it to you through the Telegram. And yeah, I was gonna leave that for a bit so that I can focus on the gossip sub bindings. Uh, but yeah, just if you have any question about the current state of the NIF, just send me a message and I'll help you.
So one thing we could maybe do, can you mute? Thanks. I'm thinking maybe we could write like a README or something so that like external contributors can add different types, because we have like 20 or 30, and maybe it's a good opportunity for people to be able to do the first contribution. And it's something I would say pretty straightforward, because you did the most of the hard lifting with the macros and all that stuff. It might be a bit weird, like the way it's handled, but maybe if you do a README with an example or
I
pointing out to
I already wrote like a like a list of the steps that are needed to add a new type. I didn't upload it anywhere. It was just like, but I can add it to the docs in some README. Later we can discuss where to put it. But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
yeah, and then we could maybe create issues so that also that like we don't do the same types, so we can assign people, and yeah, we would have like a bunch of issues for, yeah, that would be good to start like good first issues for people.
Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know if we should put that into a README, or maybe we can just create like an issue for creating the types and just put it there. Later we can create more fine-grained issues and link that that big issue.
Or maybe
Uh,
we could create a README on the SSE NIF. It seems like an appropriate place, right?
yeah, and later link to that in the issues. Yeah, sure.
Okay, then I'll definitely do that. I was actually reading your PRs, implementing the types to follow how you implemented them. So when I have the need to implement the SSE types of the elements that I will be using in the functions that I will implement, then I'll follow your how you implemented the SSE serialization and deserialization. If I have any questions, I'll definitely hit you up. And after, as Thomas said, Thomas A, I don't want to be working on the same thing that you are doing, not because of duplication, but just because I will be humiliated in terms of code quality. So I don't want to risk that. So I'll stay far from you.
That's fun. So if I'm like, correct me if I'm wrong, but after the summary of this discussion is that Thomas Gruner already finished his work on SSZ. The only outstanding thing from that is writing a document explaining how to repeat that process. And Paul, you can start with the types that are not included in what Thomas already did, right? Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I finished it. I'm just setting it aside for another.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That's
there
what I meant.
maybe
Like you're not
already.
going to be working on that now. So you won't
Yes.
be working on the same thing as Paul because you won't be working on that right now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. And just a question, like, is your PR ready for review? Are the types that you sent like already serializing that is deserializing correctly, or is there any of the work in
No,
your
no.
code that's pending?
It's already like the expected pass. I found the problem with one of the types, but I'm trying to upload some the failing tests and that particular implementation into a different PR, like so we can leave it there for to
Yeah,
link
that
to an
sounds perfect.
issue.
That
So
definitely sounds
as
perfect.
Sorry. So as Martin was saying, there's about I'm not sure, but 30 types that we need to implement. So from these 30 types, you implemented eight, and there's like seven working and one that's not working. That's right.
Uh, yeah, something like that. But it's not in that PR. I like extracted that failing implementation and will upload it in a different PR.
Okay, great.
All right, that's awesome. Paul, do you have anything else?
No, nothing.
That's cool. Thomas, I don't know if you have any more updates aside from the SSL ones. They are big
No,
updates. I'm not saying that you should have more. I'm just, just want
yeah,
to give you space to tell them if you have them.
uh, no. I'm just gonna start with the gossip sub bindings, and I yeah, I'll start with the same as before.
I think we lost him, right? Yeah, probably a connectivity issue. If if he gets back, we can continue. But I think that it's just like his next steps, which we are lying on. So I will go next. I was working with Martin on the roadmap, and we were having a discussion on how attestations are creating and how that might impact attestation counting. I think, and especially because that impacts one little part of the roadmap, which has to do with if we have or if we don't have attestations ready at some point. But it's not like a crucial decision point. So for now, hey Thomas, I'll just quickly finish, and then if there's something else, we can go back to you. So basically, like today, was doing some research on attestation creation to make sure we understand correctly what role do attestations outside of blocks have. I think that Martin also asked some questions on Discord. Um, so we will probably be doing our research on the one hand and receiving feedback on the other hand. So, but yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I hope I get that finished as soon as possible so we can make sure that we have the correct steps on the milestones on the release plan. And yeah, that's all of the updates for me. I don't know, Thomas, you were saying that you will start working on Gossip Sub bindings. I don't know if there was anything else before we lost you.
No, it cut off, but it cut off. But I was just saying I'll start with a Go example, and later try to translate that into Elixir and other corresponding bindings. Nothing else.
Awesome. I think that we are finished with it with the tasks for everyone. Are there any final comments or questions? I'll take the 5 seconds of silence as a no, so we can finish this meeting today. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you all tomorrow.